have a motion to approve the minutes? Ron and Dick, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Do you have anything for us?
The next would be the presentations.
Okay.
Tim left us up first.
Tim?
Okay, I wanted to talk to everybody about the bridge in Harrisburg that got closed in the last 30 days and give you a little history of it. So River Road goes from Copenhagen all the way up to 173, and on that road there are two, it's a town road. And which direction do I point this, Connor?
Just click it.
There we go. Okay, so Kimberly Creek crosses that road, and there are two bridges, and you can see that's the same creek actually. It splits up coming out of a swamp. And the bridge that we're actually ended up closing is the one in the very top, the bin number 3340130. That is completely in the town of Harrisburg. The bottom bridge there is actually split between Pinckney and Harrisburg. And both bridges were, you can see the town line kind of goes right down through the middle of the road right there. And both bridges were put in at the same exact time. They're both wooden bridges, single lane wooden bridges. This bridge, the one at the bottom, 3340140, was actually red flagged last year, and we had a project up there working. So we had hired Town and County Bridge and Rail to go up there and do some work to get that bridge back into shape and passable. While they were there, they went up to do a little bit of touch up on this other bridge, and when we got up there to look at it, Connor, advance that, please. This is the picture of the bridge. It was built in 1960 from what our records show. Has a span of 49 feet. It's a wooden bridge spanning that creek. Next picture. This is, you can see it's a pretty high bridge. It's about 30 feet from the stream at the bottom of it, but very little water actually travels through that stream. I think it's more the ravine is why the bridge got put there to begin with. This is the bottom of it, looking down the beams. It's in very good shape. You can see the beams are in great condition. You want to go forward. These are the concrete abutments the bridge sits on. This is the farthest one, or the one toward Copenhagen. You want to go to the next one. And this is the one that we were concerned about right here. You'll see the cracking that goes from the beams all the way to the bottom, where the concrete's falling and falling out. And they use field stone in that concrete, which doesn't add a lot of strength. You want to go to the next one. But right here is really the problem. That beam sits on a metal bearing plate, it's called. And what had happened is the trucks driving across it and the weight of it had crushed that bearing plate down into the top of the concrete abutment. And once it did that, then the wooden beams were sitting on the concrete, and every time a truck would go over it, more and more concrete would fall away. So that's why we determined that the bridge had to be closed for safety. There's a picture of that beam actually sitting down on top of the concrete and causing it to crush away. The contractors brought it to our attention. I got on the phone with the engineers. We did a FaceTime call. They agreed with the assessment, and that's why we ended up closing the bridge. So now what do we do? Where do we go from here? And we have some short-term solutions. This is a sketch by B&L, one of the engineering firms we work with. We also have a very similar sketch from Barton & Judas and Floyd Albert have given us similar proposals. So a temporary fix would be to actually just put some beams down on the floor all the way up to the top, put a beam across it to support the weight because the concrete cannot. And that would temporarily get us to be able to open that bridge. When I say that's a temporary fix, the cost of that is not insignificant. B&L's estimate is roughly, go to the next.
158, I think it is.
Yeah, $158,000 just to temporarily get that bridge back open. And that's a temporary fix. That's not even permanently repairing the concrete abutment. That's just temporarily doing it. So our options are temporarily repair it, about $158,000. We could probably do that in 4 to 6 months. It's not an easy fix, but we can do it. And that is only to hold us off for a year or two until we can replace the entire bridge. Both Floyd Albert and B&L bridge replacement's gonna be between $1 million and $1.5 million for that bridge span. Now, there's one third option, which I guess has been in the works for a number of years, and Don and Terry, I don't know if Terry's here, Terry from the town of Harrisburg has been trying for years and years to put a culvert in there and get rid of the bridge completely. And what they would like is for us to turn the bridge over to the town. They'll put a culvert pipe in there and the bridge will go away. As you guys may know, by law, the county owns bridges over 25 feet in span, and that's how we ended up owning this bridge on a town road. Once it goes shorter than that, it goes back into the town's possession and they own it. And then we don't have the engineering inspection and all of that. So that's kind of what they would like to see happen. They feel it could happen this year. It appears to be hydraulically feasible. I asked the engineers if they could give us an assessment of whether it's even doable. And they said it does appear hydraulically feasible because there's not a lot of water that does come through that stream. It would have to be a fairly large culvert pipe. We're talking 10 feet in diameter to do that. And you know, the idea is it would have to be contingent upon them being able to get the permits. I believe that they've met with the DEC. There are a few conditions, but they feel that they can be met, and if they're able to do that, it would remove all the liability from the county. Now what they're asking is if we could help them do that, help them pay for the pipe and the fill that goes on top of the pipe. So they're asking for $90,000 and us to turn it over, and they would get rid of the bridge and put a culvert pipe in. So those are our three choices going forward. The replacement is 1 to 2 years out. Temporary fix if we even want to do that, because we're going to be spending that plus replacing the bridge, and then ultimately a short-term fix. So those are our options, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys.
Tim, we talked about the beams.
Yeah.
Do we end up with beams?
We can. We haven't actually come up with that determination. I don't think you guys have any particular need for them.
No.
So, yep.
There's a resolution in your packet for option number 3. So if we are going to do that, that requires a resolution, so we put that in. So that's ready to go if you want to go that direction.
Tim, the hydraulic work the engineers did, what kind of a safety factor they, you know, we just had consequential rains here.
So what I didn't want to spend a ton of money doing a full hydraulic analysis. What they did tell me is that they would have to go out and survey it to actually do a full hydraulic analysis. It's going to cost about $15,000 for them to do a full hydraulic analysis. If we were to replace it with a bridge, that's part of the process. They have to do that. If it goes to a culvert, it's not required. But what they did say is that a 10-foot culvert pipe in that location would meet a 50-year storm requirement, but would not meet a 100-year storm requirement. So they're like, it's right on the edge.
That was my initial thought.
It's right on the edge with a 10-foot culvert pipe in that location is what their best guess is without going out and doing a full-blown hydraulic analysis.
And what have you got to meet as far as the 100-year, or can you get by with a 50-year flood?
Well, on a bridge, you have to meet the 100-year storm. On a culvert, you do not. So that's where we're kind of in this gray area, right? We're taking something that was a bridge and turning it into a culvert. That's why we think we can get away with it. Don's met with the DEC. Then the two requirements that they have are that the culvert is 1.5 times
1 1/4 times the width of the stream.
So the question is, how wide is the stream? And that depends on when you're measuring it. But we think we can meet that requirement. The other one is it has to be embedded into the stream channel by 20%. So they want the bottom of the stream channel to be natural stream bed. Now that's all rock, as you saw there, so it would require going down there and stripping some rock out and setting the pipe in there. But you feel that can be done?
Yeah, it's a good gradual slope down through there anyways, and to get the pipe to sit in there good, you're going to have to trim back. So if we can trim back, set the pipe down in, and then put an entrance funnel on the end of the pipe, and that would be foot below the actual creek, because it's all bedrock up through there, and so that would seal that right off.
I
And then-
just remember the stories of the West Road up here in 1942 with that flood. We lost a whole family. that was a bridge that looked an awful lot like a culvert the way it was constructed and stuff, so. I'd just like to be safe, I think it's the way to go.
I mean, obviously there's a bridge there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think there is some risk. They're willing to take it. They want to do that. It's the fastest way to get it back open for the public. But what happens in a 100-year storm? The one thing in this location that I do think kind of takes some of that concern away is there's nobody living downstream from it. So if anything were to go wrong, you're going to lose a culvert pipe. You're going to lose the road, but you're not going to hurt anybody. There's no houses around there.
Oh, okay. So from this down, it's like a dead end, and you gotta come back out the same way you go in. After you cross the bridge?
No, the road goes all the way through,
It
but
goes all the way through.
the stream drops several hundred feet of elevation downstream right into the Deer River.
Okay.
Yep.
There's no, there will be, if you look at that picture right there, from the stream bed to the top of that railing, like Tim says, it's 30 feet to the top of the railing. In order to make this whole project work and enhance the road has a little crook there and quite a dip. There's quite a deep dip in there. We're going to raise with dirt above the culvert another 10 feet. And right now it's a lane wide. When we get all done, we're going to put in 160 foot of culvert with the entrance funnel on the end and do a 2x1 slope up. And when we get to the top where the road is, which will be 37 feet off the bed, we'll have a 30-foot wide pad on top. We'll put a 20-foot road, a couple foot of shoulders on each side and guardrails, and then we can have the county water and soil come up and hydroseed the whole sides. So we'll have 37 feet of earth on top of that pipe. So it'll be about 900 loads we're going to have to haul in there to fill that whole thing up 160 feet long and taper.
It's a massive project.
Oh, yeah.
What's the total cost of that entire project?
What's that?
What's the total cost?
Well, we really haven't got the total cost of it down because we're still working with some landowners to get dirt right there available, right on site. One of the landowners has verbally agreed to allow us to take a hill out of his hayfield, push the top dirt back and take the hill out. And then once we get to the top of the pipe with good crushed packable stone, then we can come up to the road surface with dirt. I'm gonna say that in the end it's going to be about $150,000 total with the material and time and labor. But really the towns are looking for just the material costs to get it done.
Our engineers said if we were to contract it out as a pipe like this, it would be $500,000, $500,000 to put a multi-plate pipe in that location. That's with us paying prevailing wage and
But
obviously
our
time.
90,000 is all you're asking for. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. Because we're already budgeted for our diesel fuel, our equipment, and our labor. So we don't, we're not a contractor trying to
No, right.
make money, so.
And are you gonna help your department with in-kind work too, or?
If we can, we will, but that's not part of the deal. We kind of, figured if we got schedule, because we've got probably a month and a half worth of paving to do right now,
Yeah,
so.
that's it. Okay.
There might be some information because we've looked at this in the past. I can't tell you how many years back, and we were looking at options. Have you found anything?
I have not found them. I've asked and I've looked and I've tried to come up with records, but I cannot.
Okay, because we were talking about both culvert and the bridge
Yep.
and stuff, and so essentially, if we go ahead and contribute 90,000 to help, they're gonna take it over, but you gotta find out if you're gonna be able to clear DEC, or it's
We
not a
should-
deal.
We should have that information by the end of this week. We're in discussions with them now. Like Tim said, there's them two criterias that we just need to clarify with them. We're trying to get them down here, but they don't want to come down from Watertown, so we're doing the picture thing back and forth, so,
That sounds long trip.
yeah. And the other thing that I think the county needs to think about is the other bridge is not far behind this. The repairs have been made, and again, it's a temporary repair. So if we can get this done to everybody's satisfaction, then we've got the blueprint to move right over and do the next one.
Were you, originally, what I thought, you were gonna pull some dirt from the hill too. If we went like with culverts, are you gonna cut that down?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that
we're gonna-
source for dirt?
Yeah, we're trying to take that, when you go down in there with the snowplow, you have, So we're
The
trying
down
to, we're
and
trying to make that just a continuous flow through there.
It's a 100-year culvert too, right?
Yeah, the culvert is, it's, if you took a galvanized culvert, which we don't use anymore, but they make them out of aluminum now, they spin them with aluminum, and then they coat them with the same black plastic that they put on the black culvert pipes they're putting in driveways now. And the DOT guarantees it for 100+ years. Plus you can put 99 feet of fill on top of it, so you can, they're very strong.
Is there any
Tim,
other-
if you were to replace the bridge, would it qualify for any of our federal and state funding? And if so, how much would we have to pay out the county?
So potentially it would. Unfortunately, the deadline for submitting applications was in April. So this would be in the next round next year, and we wouldn't receive funding until the fall of next year if that bridge was selected.
So that's why you're thinking it's 2 years out?
Yeah,
if
it's
we
2
do
years
that.
out before we get there. Now, if we got there, our share of that would be 15%. So it's, you know, certainly wouldn't be that expensive to the county if we were to get there, but we're gonna be there, we're gonna be waiting 2 years to get to a place where we can replace that bridge.
If you were to go with the bridge, would it be a lane and a half bridge or a 2-lane bridge, or?
It would be a 2-lane bridge. Now, the way that we wrote up the proposal or the resolution, because what I didn't want to do, I think the biggest risk is we turn it over to the town, they can't get the permits, the DEC comes up with something that we can't meet, and then we're in a situation where we can't go forward. So I just wrote the resolution to say contingent upon them receiving all of the permits. That way we can let them go down that road and explore it, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, we still have the opportunity to go forward with a bridge solution.
Yeah, if we could, this is, in the long run, it's the most cost-effective solution.
I think so. Yep. But
That's what the town wants. Right.
it's what the town wants.
Yeah.
Yes. And Terry's not here, who's actually the town, you know, that owns that bridge. But literally the day I got here, that was, the first meeting I ever had with him, he was like, I want that, I want to put a culvert in there. I've been trying to do it for 30 years. I think you said that 15 or 20 years ago this was discussed.
Well, it had to be less than 16, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what year and who
Right.
was.
Right. I know it's been talked about for many, many years. And, you know, I think the concern is it going to meet that 100-year storm requirement? Probably not going to meet it technically, but it's going to be very, very close. And it certainly will be a cheaper alternative than a structure, a bridge. Yep.
Is there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Yep.
appreciate it.